Today's troll roast goes to Yaron Ruiz for his comment on my 19 MCU movies ranked. He says, this list is legit trash, and I say, nah, yo face is dope. What's up, Net Soldiers on the Alliance? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about something that I mentioned in my previous videos. If you want to check those out, there'll be links to those in the description below, as well as up here. Now, pretty much what the idea of this video stems from is Star Wars, the Clone Wars TV show, an alternate universe. Now, before I go too deep into this, let me explain where this is coming from. So my idea for making this Clone Wars alternate universe stems from the fact that there's only going to be 12 episodes in this new Clone Wars series. Now, I've said this before in a previous video, and I understand that these 12 episodes are pretty much just like a test. Yes, it is for money, but it's also a test for the fans from Disney to kind of see how much we want more Clone Wars, how much prequel era stuff do we want. And if you look all over the internet, people are ecstatic to get their Clone Wars back, and I think it's obvious that we're going to get more stuff like this. So I came up with the idea that after this Clone Wars goes, I think it would be cool to make a Clone Wars series, which would be like an alternate universe to this one, where Anakin didn't turn to the dark side. Now I'll go a little bit deeper into the story and why he wouldn't turn to the dark side, but for right now let me just explain kind of why I would do this. The idea is that the Clone Wars new series is going to take place between the last season that we saw of the Clone Wars and right up to the events of the beginning of episode 3. And if you guys know, that's not much time. The Mandalore arc is legit right before episode 3. I would even call it episode 2.9 almost. So there's not much time to explore, and the idea that we just got the Clone Wars back to have it just kind of end then, it's kind of a sad idea. So I came up with this personal idea of mine, and I want to see what you guys think. So the way that we could extend the Clone Wars series is to extend the Clone Wars era altogether, which then of course would make an alternate universe, and this is how I think it would go. So like I mentioned, Anakin would not turn to the dark side when he's supposed to in canon. So a way we can do this is instead of Anakin leaving Mandalore to go save the Chancellor and then fighting Count Dooku, which effectively would ruin Palp's plan, and so the Clone Wars would continue, Count Dooku would still be alive, and we would kind of see what would happen next in this universe. So because the events of episode 3 did not transpire, we can watch the Clone Wars continue and see what happens after that. And that effectively means Anakin stays a Jedi, Dooku is still alive, so that's pretty interesting to see what he would do next in this universe, especially when in the universe he doesn't actually know that Palpatine is playing him the way he is. So maybe Dooku would eventually find out about that and get mad, you know? Maybe he would just take over, you know, who knows what he would do. Of course, we'd have Grievous who would live as well, and perhaps we can really see maybe him develop as a character perhaps. Probably not, but that'd be pretty cool. And of course, the biggest thing out of this entire change would be that there would be no Jedi Purge, meaning the Jedi would continue to go for years and years and years. Well, unless, you know, Palpatine pulled the Order 66 at some other point, but I don't think he's going to do that till he has Anakin on his side. So we would have the Clone Wars for a much more longer time. This alternate universe would also change a lot of the storytelling beats of the Clone Wars. For instance, when you watch the Clone Wars, you already know the fates of the majority of its characters. So the idea that there is a new canon and this stories don't kind of have to link up with later stories that are canon, it opens up these characters' fates to pretty much anything. And it introduces a whole new idea of the uncertainty of characters and their lives. And are they going to live? Are they going to die? You know, it's pretty crazy to think that way. And of course, this would make it more like a standard show, but that's one of the benefits of watching this show is you just don't really know who's going to go. And I think that'd be really interesting. And like I said, because the events of episode 3 didn't happen, the Clone Wars could run for a long time. We could have 10 seasons of Clone Wars continued, you know, that'd be really cool to see. For the Clone Wars could theoretically run for as long as Palpatine wants it to, and so we could have years and years of Clone Wars. We could even get to the point where we could actually see Luke and Leia's birth and how their whole dynamic would impact Anakin and Padme's relationship. Just imagine, perhaps with Luke and Leia, would they be found out by the Jedi Council? Would they not? How would Padme and Anakin react to that? I just think that'd be a very interesting, just like, aspect to add to the show. And of course, since Maul is still alive during this time period, maybe we could see him fight Anakin or see him fight Grievous and just see how the continuation of the Clone Wars would really affect his whole underground empire that he's been building. And I think that'd be really cool to see. And besides exploring new worlds and new locations, we could meet new Jedi, or we could even meet like a young Kanan Jarrus, which would be pretty cool. I know a lot of people don't particularly like Star Wars Rebels compared to the Clone Wars. I understand that. But Kanan Jarrus is probably one of the best characters on there, so if they're going to bring any characters back, I'd prefer it to be him in the Clone Wars, just a younger version of him. And, you know, maybe we could see the uncertainty of his fates as well. And we could also meet his master and get a little bit more background on her as well. So that'd be pretty cool. And probably the coolest aspect to this entire thing is that while Anakin doesn't turn to the dark side when he's supposed to, it doesn't mean he can't turn to the dark side in a future season. So that automatically adds so much more story potential to kind of show Anakin's turn, if he does have a turn, of course. And maybe we could actually see an alternate universe where Anakin and Obi-Wan fight again, only this time Anakin realizes his mistake after, I don't know, maybe Luke and Leia give him a hug and they stop him, you know? Or we could go even deeper with the story and maybe a character that is massive like Kenobi or Windu, or one of the biggest characters, doesn't really matter who it is, actually gets killed off in one of the seasons. We could see Anakin and Dooku fighting, and Obi-Wan goes to help Anakin, and out of nowhere, Grievous just stabs Obi-Wan in the back and kills him. Like, just imagine the shock. Imagine the power Anakin would feel and what he would do to Dooku and Grievous if he watched that happen. I just think that would just be insane. The idea that anything goes in this new series. One of the biggest drawbacks for the Clone Wars for me when I watched it back in the day, I like it, I don't really mind it now, but when I was younger, one of the reasons why I didn't prefer the Clone Wars over other TV shows was because that I knew the characters' fates. Do you know what I mean? I knew what was happening to Anakin, I knew what was going to happen to Obi-Wan, I knew what was going to happen to Dooku and Grievous. Now I didn't know what was going to happen to Rex or Ahsoka, but by that point they weren't in any of the movies, so I didn't really care about them. But I knew the fates of all the rest of the characters, so I kind of didn't see a reason to watch the Clone Wars. And so this gives me the reason to truly watch the Clone Wars now. The idea that I know the canon route, let's see what happens to all these characters when the script is flipped and the storyline goes a completely different way. I just think that would be such an interesting idea. And one of the coolest aspects about this is that this entire show, this entire alternate universe Clone Wars, could all stem from the fact that Anakin chose to stay on Mandalore and not save the Chancellor. And I think that would be an awesome idea to explore in a TV show. But of course, that's just my opinion. What's your opinion on this? Let me know in the comments below. Do you guys want to see this alternate universe? Do you think this is a cool idea? Do you think this is a dumb idea? Let me know in the comments below. If you could see an alternate universe, what would you want to see? Like I said, let me know down there. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.